Hey guys. All right, this is going to be take two because I just did this whole thing and my microphone was muted. Oh well. All right. So what we are going to do today is I am going to do a very short lecture on Japan's path to World War II and kind of how they built themselves up to be a world power and how they got involved in World War II. So what we're going to be doing today is we're not going to do a traditional multiple choice quiz. We are going to do a few questions underneath that are like a 6-word story, a haiku. They're all pretty short, but just a different way for me to see that you are getting the information. So instead of you reading this article today, I'm going to do a short lecture. So I'm going to go away and try not to bore you. All right, guys. So Japan's path to World War II. So how did they get involved in World War II? A lot of us know that Japan was an enemy of the United States in World War II, but how did they get there? All right, so the history of Japan's involvement in World War II began in the late 1860s when the country decided to move away from the policy of isolationism and set out to build an empire. So, what is isolationism? So, being isolated means that you are away from others. So, this is a policy of remaining apart from the affairs or interests and politics of other countries. So meanwhile, while other countries are taking over other places and going to get resources from other places, Japan is isolated. So Japan is really not worried about foreign affairs. So this was pretty easy for Japan to do because they were an island country. So they could really decide who came and went into their country. So they wanted to stay isolated from other countries. All right, but it wasn't until this guy came along, and his name is Emperor Meiji, and he's the leader of Japan at the time, and he realizes that in order to be a powerful country and protect itself from being exploited by European and American imperialist ambitions, the country would have to modernize both its industry and military. All right, guys, so what is that saying? So this guy is seeing how European and American countries are going out and imperializing. They're taking over other countries. He sees them take over China. He sees them take over India. He sees them become weak and thinks, we can't fall victim to them. So we have to protect ourselves. So in order to do that, we're going to have to modernize our industry and we're going to have to modernize our military. So those are two goals that Japan had. So they came up with the motto, or he came up with the motto, enrich the country and strengthen the armed forces. So this is a two-part goal for Japan at this time. So we're going to enrich our country, we're going to boost our economy, and we're going to strengthen our armed forces. Well, guys, we know that in Europe, the Industrial Revolution started, and then it spreads to the United States, but it had not spread to Asia. So in order to enrich the country, in order to do part one of this goal, Japan used Western technology to industrialize and build new factories. So remember, guys, building these new factories leads to machines and leads to new products. And since natural resources were in short supply on the island of Japan, the country adopted a mercantilistic model to fuel its factories. Remember, guys, that mercantilism means to export more than you import. So to sell more than you buy. So they are going to import these raw materials from outside countries, turn them into consumable goods, turn them into finished products, and then export them and sell them to surrounding countries. So by the 1900s, this worked, and its economy was the strongest in Asia. So they had done part one of their goal. They had enriched the country. They had boosted the economy. They did this by selling goods to surrounding countries. However, Japan's leaders knew that its geographical lack of natural resources like coal, iron, rubber, and oil would prevent it from becoming a top world power. They didn't have these things at their fingertips, so they needed to go and get them. So, in order to keep its economy going, the island nation would have to expand its sphere of influence. Remember, that has to do with trade, far beyond its borders. And the sphere of influence would be created and maintained by a powerful military. So, if these surrounding countries have things that they want, a way for them to get it would be to use their military and go and take these things by force. So Japan's strong economy gave it plenty of money to build up its military. So they had boosted the economy due to industrializing it, and now they had all this money to build up the military. So they were beginning to reach their second goal of strengthening the armed forces. Japan's leaders saw that it was necessary to modernize its military. A strong military would not only protect its borders from an invasion of foreign forces, but it would also ensure that Japan would have secure access to the raw materials it needed to keep its industrial-based economy going strong. So we know it had reached its goal of boosting the economy and enriching the country. So the last thing for them to do was to build up this military. Not only would this military continue to help the economy by taking these resources by force, but the military was also able to protect its borders in case someone wanted to come over and take them over. So we're going to see, guys, that Japan had built up to a very strong country. They are going to make an alliance with Germany and Italy. So they are going to join the Axis powers in World War II. And then they are going to eventually bomb Pearl Harbor and attack the United States of America. So, guys, this is kind of a short intro on how Japan came to be a strong power. And underneath, you're going to read some of the next steps or some of the next things that Japan goes through on their path to World War II. And you have some very short questions that you need to answer. And that's it for today, guys. Please don't hesitate to email me or message me on Canvas if you have any questions or any problems. All right, have a great day.